Why I'm on Nantucket? Well, I have a grant,
Okay.
Gino, from the Maria Mitchell Association, the science foundation that graces this fair isle, and I am inventorying fungi on Nantucket and Tuckernuck. And ultimately, what I'm trying to determine is what does the type of species we typically find here tell us about the environment. Um, and I've been doing this now for 4 years, and I have a list of about 150, 155 different mushroom species. And if I were anywhere else, like a forested area, like Audubon Sanctuary on the mainland, I'd have 2 or 3 times that number. But Nantucket is not what we would call an ideal fungal habitat because it's so neatly manicured, so developed, the trees have been cut down and so on. What I found is that instead of the typical species that you find in, even Martha's Vineyard, but let's say in Central Mass, I'm finding a lot of species that exist only in disturbed areas, like bike paths, trails in, toward the sand even.
All right. I just got to ask you, why did they want you to do this? Why is it important to do what you're doing?
Why do they want me to do it?
Or
as
why
opposed
is this study
to,
why do we need to have a study on it?
Well, because it's important to know what you have in your ecosystem so as not to destroy that ecosystem. It's important to see how everything interrelates. It's important to see that as you build a condo here and build a condo there, you might be destroying the tree species surrounding you because those tree species have connections with the mycelia, that's the vegetative part of fungi, the underground part, and you pave them over and you're going to screw up, I was about to say up,
Yep.
the surrounding ecosystem. Fungi are a keystone player in every ecosystem.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere, and if you don't see them, that doesn't mean they're not there. There's some called arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi that you never see. They're underground strands that are pumping nutrients into trees and plants. Others, like what we see here, some of them are pumping nutrients into plants and trees. Others are degrading leaf litter and organic waste. And others are recycling dead trees. So they're important, very important.
And they are so amazing that one of the stories Lawrence told this morning was about fungi in Chernobyl breaking down the radioactive, but he will explain more.
Well,
Wow. Tell us about
what
that.
they've discovered.
Straight ahead, we are.
Oh, we are? Okay,
Mushrooms on Milestone.
You
yeah.
got to.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What they've discovered is, and this wasn't done intentionally, that in and around the Chernobyl area, fungal mycelia. Now, what breaks the, your viewers would be interested to know that the fruiting body, the type that they see in their supermarkets or buy or see along the side of the roads, this isn't doing the breaking down. It's the underground part, the mycelium, which has powerful enzymes that break these, in this case, radionucleoides down and render them they haven't been completely broken down yet. It usually takes a long time, but they are appreciably less toxic than they were in 1987 because the mycelia have been rendering them so. And the interesting thing is that this is very much analogous to what is being done now in different eco areas as a general practice. Bioremediation, taking the mycelia of certain species, like for instance the oyster mushroom. Oyster mushroom is very good at this, Pleurotus austratus, and digesting diesel spills. And what happens, they digest the diesel spill and especially the toxic components of that spill. The fruiting body, i.e. what we call the mushroom, is non-toxic. So you can, they'll inoculate the area with the mycelium of this mushroom, it'll do its degrading job. That's how it works to get the fruiting body. When you're a thin strand underground, you need all the help you can get, and nutrients, however you define them, is what you use along with water. Water is something that doesn't come down from the sky that frequently on Nantucket, at least during my visit. So that's another reason the species list is relatively low, 155 or thereabouts. But at a certain point in these diesel spill areas, they will create what we call a mushroom or a fruiting body. That is completely edible, even though the underground part has digested, that was just debris, digested
Diesel, radioactive.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So in the future, this may be one of the things that we use to
Increase-
degrade nuclear.
There was a big
spent
article in the New York Times in the winter about it's a friend of mine, Paul Stamets, who has been called upon. There's a whole area around Fort Bragg, California, where, there's just waste galore. There were diesel companies and so on. They brought him in. He's inoculating these waste sites, and they are degrading them to the point where they're no longer toxic, where in fact nothing is going to seep into the groundwater, and they will be, well, not as early explorers and Indians would have had them, but certainly a lot better than they were with all this junk that had been dropped by unthinking or non-thinking people responsible for such spills.
Yeah.